Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia.
All right.
Alrighty, Bills Mafia, what is cooking? Welcome to the Mafia Cast. I'm your host, Ron Easton, joined by my good friends and hosts, Casey and Mike, who just keeps jumping in there for whatever reason, doing his own thing. It's all good, Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying. Just doing what I can to contribute.
We are brought to you by Spoon Liquor Cakery. Hey, you got a big party coming up? Need some yummy and delicious cookies or cupcakes? Sarah at Spoon Liquor Cakery is your go-to. Just give her a call or text at 315-283-6770. Let her know the Mafia Cast sent you, and you will get a 10% discount on your order because we are that important. No, we're not really, but you still get 10%.
We're trying.
That's how you know the call's legit, is the Mafia Cast.
There you go.
So
you can also find her on Facebook at Spoon Liquor Cakery and on Instagram, Spoon Double Score Liquor. Make sure you get that double score in there. Guys, what's going on? How you doing?
We're doing, man. Another victory week. Can't complain.
I'm better now that we're finally live.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's taken us a couple tries, but I think we're finally getting the hang of this.
We're a little late. Got the new computer, so we're still learning it. It's a new thing.
When he says we, he means him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to throw you guys. I don't want to take all the blame. Come on.
But you're going to.
Yeah.
It's all right. Good. Yes. So it's a victory week. That's 6 straight, fellas. I know, Casey, you mentioned last week that, this long winning streak has you a little nervous.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's hard to win 11 football games in a row. And that's what the Bills will do if we win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a lot. That's why having the bye week at a certain time, kind of can help and hurt you. It depends. I mean, we had it in I think it was week 6 again this year. So we had it early. So we had to go on a long stretch, and now remain basically perfect. If we want home field advantage throughout the playoffs and to get to the Super Bowl, we have to remain perfect. And that starts with this game up on Monday.
Yeah. It's a big game too, which we'll get into. But let's talk about the Bears first. That football game. I think I ask this every week. Was there at any point where you guys were like, kind of like, okay, what are you guys doing? Can we just, get control of this game and bring it to an end?
I was kind of, yeah. For a hot minute, we were down. I was more kind of just annoyed. It was like, all right, it was like in the first half and kind of even going into the second half a little bit. It was kind of like everything was right there. It seemed like we were right on the edge to get like anything was going to happen, like anything was going to break. We were finally going to start really blowing people out. Because I mean, I know we won 31-10 or whatever it was, and I know that's a blowout, but it still didn't feel as good. I feel like as a lot of fans wanted it to. It didn't feel like Tennessee, like when we played Tennessee or the Rams, because Allen's not clicking. It's not super pretty, but to a real football fan, that was a really pretty game to watch with all how well the Bills ran and how well the defensive line played and the defense as a whole played. I mean, it was a good game, but it's still the frustration is there with Allen, and we've all seen those stats of what his production's been like since playing Kansas City. Which, I mean, to each one their own. Look at all the stats before Patrick Mahomes played Josh Allen. He was just as bad, and Patrick Mahomes is probably going to win MVP this year, and rightfully so. He has the most passing yards and the most total touchdowns.
Not by a lot.
Not by a lot. I mean, Allen deserves it. Allen deserves it, but I mean. Mahomes, he has Reed and Kelsey, and everybody's going to be like, oh, see, he did all this without Tyreek Hill, but he has Reed and Kelsey still. He's going to win it. Allen deserves it more. That's where I stand, I guess.
That's a good conversation piece as far as the MVP part of it goes, which we'll save for later, because I do have some, my thoughts on that as well, and I'm sure Mike does also. As far as this game with the Bears, see, I'm trying to keep us on track, guys, because you know how terrible I am. I'm bouncing all over the place. So
we're doing good.
All right. So the Bears, Mike, what did you think? Were you kind of nervous? Did you think we're gonna we're gonna blow this. Like it's the Bears. What is happening?
Not really. I mean, I was a little nervous. I was trying to cook at the same time, so it was hard to watch at some points. But I was definitely following along as much as possible. Um, but like I was just saying, kind of, or like Casey was saying, in the beginning there when we were down, and it was just, just waiting for, when is it going to happen? When are we going to get it together and just roll over this team? But finally some things opened up, and I feel like once one play happens, it's all
It
downhill from there.
snowballed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Snowballs.
just kind of snowballs. Yeah,
it's nice seeing the running game. Like Cook and Singletary, they were like back and forth. I felt like trying to one up each other or something. It was really nice to see them get.
It's really
they both finished pretty close. Casey, I like what you said at the beginning. It was more annoying than anything. Like, and it's funny because I was listening to another podcast today talking about kind of the fans' reactions to the games each week, and we're 12-3, number one in the AFC, still the favorite to win the Super Bowl, and still we have Bills Mafia like complaining and griping about a 35-13 win. I don't want to say. I mean, it is kind of baffling. I think I have my thoughts on that and why. And that's another discussion down the road. Something that we're trying to plan for next week. A little plug there for next week's show. Maybe a bonus episode as well. But watching the game, you kind of got the feeling like, okay, so the Bears came out, they ran down the field, scored a touchdown. You're like, well, that looked a little too easy. But I wasn't really concerned. Like, it's still Chicago, it's still the Bears. Buffalo, for the most part this season, has shown a pretty good ability to adjust in game to what's going on. And after that opening drive, the defense just arrived. My goodness, they shut that team down. Fields 11 yards on 7 carries. Like, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. He may set the record for rushing yards by quarterback this season, and he had 11 yards. Montgomery wasn't a factor. Obviously, like I said, Fields wasn't. The defense was impressive, and that was kind of my takeaway from this game.
Definitely.
Is one, the running game, but the defense has been on point since Miller got injured, since his injury. And I said this back at that point that I wondered if this type of an injury would actually elevate the defense, because they were like, let's do this for Miller. Let's rise up. We have to carry the torch, and they are.
Yeah, and it's like a rotation of guys. It's not just one guy stepped up and made it happen. It's, we're getting different guys in there, and all of a sudden we got quite a squad here at the defensive line.
Epinesa has the quietest 7-sack season you'll ever see.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
had a batted ball and a sack. He looked real good.
He's played well. I mean, he's third on our team in sacks. And I feel like he plays the least between Lawson, he, and Boogie.
But who's number 2? Still leads,
Groot and Von are both tied with 8. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very likely that Groot and Epinesa probably take over the 1 and 2 spot.
Yeah.
By season's end. I agree. And the thing I like about it too is opposing offensive coordinators can't just game plan like, well, let's just double team this guy, because you don't know who to double team. I mean, you can. I think in one-on-one situations, most of these guys are going to win. Not all the time. But like one of the things that I saw with like Oliver, this is one thing that's kind of got me a little bit frustrated with him. And I probably wouldn't feel this way if he hadn't been such a high draft pick. But sometimes he's not there. And then he goes up against a team like Chicago, a team in which he should dominate, and he does. But then when he goes up against a different offensive line that's got a good interior group like the Bengals do, which we'll talk about them here shortly, he seems to struggle a little bit. But fortunately, we've got guys like Epinesa and Groot. Basham will hopefully be back soon as well. Jordan Phillips, with his injury, he played through last week as well. So there's a lot of really good guys on that defensive front. And I think that's going to be huge in next week's game, because Burrow's not a scrambler. he can move around the pocket a little bit and whatnot, but he's not going to be a Justin Fields. So if they can get some pressure on him, I think that could be a little kind of jumping the gun here, but a little bit of a key to a victory. But that's all right. The other thing in this game, I don't want to take away from Allen's performance too much. The first interception that he threw, I know a lot of people say it was a poor decision. I just don't think he saw him dropping back because he was down close to the line of scrimmage. I can't remember the name of the guy who picked that off, but he was, if you watch that play, he was down close to the line of scrimmage. And I just don't think Allen ever saw him drop him that far back into deep coverage. And, by the time the ball was in the air, he was, halfway there to the pick. So I don't necessarily think it was a bad decision. He just didn't see the guy.
I thought it was a poorly thrown ball. I thought it definitely should have been put over McKenzie's shoulder. Instead, I think it was incomplete either way. I don't think it was the best decision, but I think it was a worse pass than it was the decision. And who knows? Maybe McKenzie kind of ran it out higher than Allen expected him to. Trying to keep that leverage, keep that over the shoulder leverage for Allen to drop it in there. But I see where you're coming from. I don't think it was a terrible decision. Could have made a better throw, but it's what you get when you have Josh Allen. He's going to take that risk.
Yeah, I do agree. It could have definitely been a better throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
sort of a combination of different things.
Yeah. I think if that was like Gabe Davis maybe, or even Dawson Knox, somebody that's, over 5.5 feet tall, maybe it's a better.
No offense.
Better, hey, I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'10", so I get it. But I'm still taller than McKenzie.
Yeah.
He's not the go up and get it guy.
He's not. He's not a 50-50 ball kind of guy at all. And that's almost what he threw, it seemed like. And I don't think that was his intention. I just think, the weather
just what happened.
Factor. Yeah. Though maybe, when it got up in the air, the wind kind of moved it around a little bit. We did see the wind playing a huge role in the kick return game. Hines was having a heck of a time trying to judge those balls. So I do think that played a role. I think all in all, I think it was a great game, honestly. I mean, 35-13, they dominated the team like they should have, albeit it took a little bit to get rolling. And I do like the fact that the run game got going and Dorsey stuck with it. Like we've seen in games past where the running game was working, and then for whatever reason they stopped and they just went to the air.
There was a hot minute during that game when Dorsey tried going back to the pass, and Allen just wasn't having it that day. And he's like, all right, bleep it. We're running. Screw it. Like, let's go. We're just gonna run it.
Which I'm totally fine with. Yeah.
If it's I almost said it wrong. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Pound the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as much as I want to see Josh Allen throw for 300 yards and rush for another 100 and score 5 touchdowns a game, at the end of the day, if it's Cook and Singletary gets us to the Super Bowl and wins it, let's do it. Like I
will be so pumped. I'm the biggest James Cook fan. I will lose it if we win it on the back of James Cook.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's kind of move on. I think we beat that dead horse with the Bears a little bit. I mean, it's the Bears. It wasn't like a huge measuring stick for our run game or anything like that. But still, 254 yards. It's pretty good. Pretty good day against an NFL defense.
It put us we're the league's best rushing team, but I thought we couldn't run the football.
Here we are.
Oh. People are going to argue, I'll take Allen out of the equation. Well, why would you do that? That's just dumb. That's like, the Vikings have a really good passing attack. We'll take Jefferson out of the equation.
I would say take TJ Hawkinson out, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the running game. And honestly, a lot of his runs, and I wanted to kind of go back at each one of the games, they're scrambles. They're not really calling his number a whole heck of a lot.
No, because they know he's going to scramble.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how they limit his hits. All right, let's not design it, but but at the same time, all right, Josh, roll out. If the play breaks down, just go. That's like what Dorsey has him do. Yeah. So that it is like a half designed run.
Yeah.
Like a self-made RPO.
And and I do like the idea. Somebody I think it was Twitter made a comment about running the ball, and because they felt like they kind of went away from the run game, even though 254 yards doesn't really tell me they went away from the run game too much. But then the response was, and I think this is actually from One Bills Live, Chris Brown said, Allen is your best player on the team. If you need it, why are you going to take the ball out of his hands? Let him make the decision whether he's going to run for it, dump it off, whatever. But he is the best chance that Buffalo has at getting a play when they absolutely need it. And we've got some big games coming up. And before we get into that, let's talk about – I lost my little mousey thing here.
Did you?
I did. I'm good now. I got it. Since the Weeks of the Week is obviously related to the Bears game, we're going to go ahead and talk about this. Casey, what you got?
This is the first time that it's happened, but this is going to an entire group this time. It's going to go to the defensive line, like we were talking about. We shut down one of the top – at the time, the Bears were the top rushing team in the NFL. And we held a 1,000-yard rusher in Justin Fields, who Ronnie mentioned is might just break the quarterback rushing record for a season, held him to 11 yards. Fantasy-wise, they held Justin Jefferson to under 10 points. They played a hell of a game. I mean, they in the first quarter, the Bears could run all up and down the field. But we've seen that. In the first quarter, the Bills kind of, all right, show it. They let the offense, all right, show us what you want to do, and then here's how we're going to stop you. And they kind of restrict everything. They restrict the offense and make them one-dimensional. And the sack numbers, that's not eye-popping. That's not insane. But all the pressure that Justin Fields was under that entire game to make the poor decisions on those third downs, to throw the ball away, to run it and come up short or dump it down, the defensive line was just all over them all game. And it was great to see. And it was a whole group effort. It wasn't really one person the whole time.
I wish I was going to jot his name down, the defensive lineman that they just called up from the practice squad. And
Jonathan Kingsley.
Kingsley. The first
Kingsley
time
Jonathan.
Play,
there we go.
Kingsley Jonathan. The first time he made a play, I think it was a batted pass or something. I don't remember. But I looked over at my wife and I was like, I'm like one of the biggest Bills fans, and I don't know who this guy is. I don't recognize that name at all. But he showed up a few times. It wasn't just that first play, but he showed up a few times, and I think that's a testament to how good this defensive line is and how good they can be with or without Von Miller. I'm not saying that we want Von to go anywhere, of course, because he does make this defense better. But it's good to see when guys from the practice squad are coming up and making plays, because that, to me, tells me, one, good coaching, and two, we've got a good scheme, and the guys around him and the rest of the defensive line are playing so well that the defense has to focus on them, allowing guys like, Kingsley to make some plays. So that was really cool.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I told you I love me some Kingsley Jonathan. Syracuse boy. He's been on and off the practice squad all year.
Right.
His name was they mentioned him. I think it was on One Bills Live again. Oh no, it was on a Shout Buffalo podcast with Matt Perino and Ryan Talbot. They mentioned Kingsley, and they gave him a shout-out as a Syracuse alumni, so that was pretty cool. As soon as they did that, I thought of you, Casey, because, you're a resume Syracuse guy.
Gotta be, man. Gotta be. We don't really have much else in Central New York.
And I was going to bring this up, too, because you've mentioned this a few times, and remind me again the running back's name.
Sean Tucker.
For Syracuse. Sean Tucker. Talbot actually mentioned him as a possible draft person, but I don't think he's eligible still.
See, I'm telling you, dude, it's wild. I don't know what's going on with him.
I don't get it.
I have no idea. Because I swore this was his third year, but apparently it's not. So
he is a sophomore.
But maybe he redshirted it. Maybe he redshirted a year.
But he could have redshirted. We'll have to dig into that, because the rule is basically 3 years removed from high school. It doesn't really necessarily matter whether you're a freshman or sophomore or whatever in college.
Yeah, you could sit on your couch for 3 years.
Right, exactly. So I don't know when he graduated. I can't imagine it'd be that hard to find out. But we'll get into that. And his name came up because there was some chatter, some conversation going on about around the Bills running game, and Devin Singletary being in his final year of his contract currently. So with that, let's kind of get into the Bills and the NFL news, because that's part of it. And the question basically was, and I'll put this to you guys too, what does Buffalo do with Singletary? He's got over 1,000 all-purpose yards so far this year, having arguably his best season of his career to this point. We still have 2 games to go. We still have the playoffs. What do we do with him? And let me, before you answer that, let me just throw this out there. There are a ton of free agent running backs coming up this offseason. Good ones. Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Saquon. There's some good ones. And then you've got
Bills
guys too.
Bills ain't paying for any of them.
No.
A.J. Dillon. That name's been thrown around.
Mike, go ahead. I'll let you start.
I don't know, I feel like you almost start out with a mediocre deal maybe and kind of put the ball in his court. You want to stay. We're at that point now where you want to kind of watch the cap. I mean, you can't just throw money at him to keep him. I mean, he's playing good. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely a key. But you can't just have Cook run it all the time. It's kind of nice that we have Hyden's returning, and not playing, all the snaps at running back. He's our nice special teams guy. But yeah, kind of put the ball in his court, and just kind of feel him out, I think, and see if he wants to stay, and kind of be a part of his team, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they're going to offer him a modest 2-year deal. Something 2 years, $7 million, something like that. 2 year, $10 million maybe, with probably half of it guaranteed, because that's all we'll really be able to afford. We've seen Bean he's never spent in free agency on a running back. Frank Gore was not expensive. Shady McCoy was a trade, was here before Bean got here, and that was via trade. And other than that, it's all been Duke Johnson's and Matt Breida's, the cheapies, and then he's obviously drafted Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. I think he's just gonna, all right, Devin, either take this or see ya, man. We can't afford to keep you. And then he's back to the draft we go. I really think that's the way it's gonna be. We have to keep one position cheap, and the running back position is the best way to stay cheap is to never pay a running back.
And I kind of was thinking that they'll let him test the waters, the free agent, waters, and see what he can get out there in the open market. And that list of running backs I just mentioned, and there was others too, and I don't remember all of the names, but there was at least a half dozen that quite honestly are better running backs than Singletary. So I have a feeling he's going to get out there and realize that his value isn't quite what some of these other guys are. They're going to go to these other teams, and then he's going to come back to Buffalo, and we're going to be like, this is what we can do. This is what we got. I don't – the whole salary cap situation, I don't really buy into that a whole lot, simply because I've seen year after year how teams that are in salary cap jail somehow pull off these massive contracts.
Restructuring things and making it happen.
Yeah, because you can backload them, you can this and that. Not to mention the salary cap's probably going to explode here in beginning with this offseason and then going forward with all the gambling money that's coming in, the TV contracts money that's coming in. There's a lot of money going around. So
salary cap's fake anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like half believe in it anymore.
There's loopholes, right? I guess so.
I swear I have to believe in that. I mean,
you're right about that.
The Bills could literally have Josh Allen put pen to paper and clear up $40 million.
Oh yeah, and he would do it too.
Oh, he'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here's $40 million cash right now, instead of having to wait on it. Okay. Twist my arm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and here's the thing too. The one name that I heard today that intrigues me the most was A.J. Dillon. Like, that would be a true thunder and lightning situation with him and James Cook.
I wouldn't mind A.J. Dillon. I like me some A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
Got me kind of excited for AJ Dillon.
I'm kind of comfortable with Cook or Singletary though. It's kind of working well.
I do.
They're playing good
I
together.
do,
There's some chemistry there.
But here's the thing. Singletary and Cook, aside from the speed, are similar. They're both smaller backs.
Yeah.
They both can, make people miss. They're quick. Yeah, Cook is faster and straight line speed. I get that, but neither one of them are going to run over people, and that's why Josh does it. He's like, I'll take care of that part.
That's what Singletary does. Singletary runs through people. I've been saying this. I've been preaching this since his rookie year that he is the definition of a power back. And yes, he is.
He's like 5'7", 200 pounds,
which is what makes him a power back. His center of gravity is so low. He doesn't go down. Look at all the broken tackles he causes because people just try to wrap him up, and he's like, nope. I'm telling you,
good balance.
Because he's a power back and he has a low center of gravity.
How many times have we seen him run into the offensive lineman on a 3rd and 1 and go nowhere?
Well, it's because
something like AJ.
I'm not gonna. I almost said something I would have really regretted.
He might be running into the pile and trying to bounce it or something, and just not.
He was imitating Zach Moss.
Guys, this one-on-one situation.
This is what you used to put in the field instead of me. Bam, Zach Moss.
No, I would love to see AJ Dillon in a Bills uniform. I think that would be a perfect complement to the Bills offense.
I do too. I agree with you. If it's not Singletary, I would love AJ Dillon. I would love to have AJ Dillon.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be Singletary or not. I have no clue.
So what are some other names that you saw?
There's Saquon Barkley, Josh
right?
Jacobs.
Yeah.
God, who else?
Miles
I don't know.
Sanders.
I'm not sure if I see any. Yeah.
Damian Harris.
Not sure if I see any of those happen. So maybe Dillon would be the one of interest, out of all of them. Who
I wouldn't be surprised would be Damian Harris.
Yeah,
he's somebody who I could see coming in. Who's he has the same running style as Singletary to me. Only he's a little bit bigger. He's not a true like bulldozer, but he also isn't super quick and fast. But Ramondre's taking over. Ramondre's taking over that backfield, and they have Pierre Strong back there and Kevin Harris. That's a crowded backfield. I don't think they're going to end up paying him. So, and he's kind of in Singletary's boat. He's not that great, but he's not bad.
All right, here's the list. So Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard. That one's intriguing.
Pollard, that's a good one. We've already got
David
Pollard.
Montgomery from Chicago. Miles Sanders, Philadelphia. Kareem Hunt is an option. Even though I think that one would upset some Bills fans. Damian Harris, as you mentioned. Jeff Wilson from the Dolphins. Jamal Williams from Detroit, who's scoring a ton of touchdowns this year. He's a good power back.
15.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Singletary over. All right, so let's play this game. Who would you rather have Singletary than? Jamal Williams, yes.
I want the power guy. I want a true power back. Zach Moss was not a power back, and I just chuckled every time I heard somebody say, and the Bills power back, Zach Moss, runs into his offensive lineman's ass and falls down.
All right. Miles saying, all right, go through the list.
Okay.
I can see Miles.
Well, Miles is, again, similar back to what we already have, though.
But it's
So you got Deonta Foreman from Carolina, Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson, Damian Harris.
Possibly.
Singletary,
Kareem
that was
Hunt.
close. Probably Kareem Hunt. Not personally, but as a football team, I agree. I'd rather have Kareem Hunt.
He's definitely I think Singletary is underrated for his receiving skills, but I think Hunt is still a notch better in that regard.
He's gotten much better this year than his last 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say at least like half of those guys, maybe.
Yeah, and then you got Miles Sanders.
Sanders.
Okay. Montgomery.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think I'd go Montgomery.
Yeah. Tony Pollard. I would take Pollard in a heartbeat over
Yeah.
most of these guys, honestly.
But he's not a power back, right?
He
No, but he
brings a little
doesn't
more
need.
punch than Singletary, I think.
Yeah.
But let's see what he's pretty small, 6'2", 209. So again, yeah, he's similar to what we already have.
Casey's upset.
My little Singletary.
Little, yes, that is correct. So then we got Josh Jacobs,
not hard.
and then Barkley. If I could pick any of these guys, regardless of salary cap or anything, Josh Jacobs is the one I want.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be a great addition.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
I mean, definitely an upgrade.
And here's a big reason why. Aside from the fact that he's just freaking good.
Why he over Barkley?
Go down. Huh?
Why he over Barkley? Sell it to me.
Oh, it's easy. Jacobs is going to be 25 years old.
How old's Barkley?
That's what it comes down to. Barkley, older. Let me see if this says he's older. Yeah.
Barkley's on a rookie contract too.
Barkley's not.
Yes, he is. Barkley's on a rookie contract.
Oh,
Barkley will be 20. Okay, this is what. Okay, here's why. So according to this, both of these guys will actually their birthdays are in February, which is kind of funny. Josh Jacobs will be 25 in February. My birthday's in February as well, by the way, if anybody cares. And then Barkley will be 26 in February. So there's only a year difference. But the fact that we thought that Barkley was older than he actually is kind of tells me
he's going to age quicker.
Like apparently, it just feels like he's been around forever. He gets hurt a lot. Now this year he's managed to stay healthy, and maybe that's what it is going forward. And I do think Barkley probably gives you a little bit more in the passing game, but I also think Barkley comes with a much higher price tag than Jacobs will.
But you said no matter the cap.
True.
Well, right. But I'm still taking Josh Jacobs. But if we're talking about just signing with Buffalo, and because then you do have to take the salary cap and everything into consideration, I still go Josh Jacobs if it doesn't matter. But I just love watching Josh Jacobs play.
Oh, I'm right there with you. One of my best friends is a Raiders fan, and I every single week I'm like, I love Josh Jacobs. Like I'm one of the biggest Josh Jacobs fans. I've drafted him every year since he's been in the NFL and fantasy football. Like I've been a big fan of him, but I still take Barkley over Jacobs.
And as you guys know, because I mentioned this before, my wife is a Raiders fan, so I've watched every one of Jacobs' games, pretty much his whole career. That's aside from Buffalo, that's the other game I watch every single week. He just doesn't ever go down the first time. It just like if there's no hole, it doesn't matter. He's going to slam his body into it, and he's still going to get a few. And he's quick. He's proven that he can play, make plays for you in the passing game. And I know maybe it's just a year younger, but as far as running backs go, a year is a big deal.
I mean, Barkley also had a year off due to injury. So there's your year of wear and tear on Jacobs that Barkley doesn't have to put him on the same trajectory. To put him on the same trajectory. Hey, it doesn't matter. It's still a year without getting hit.
Yeah, it is. But because of an injury, it just seems weird to me in that regard.
But definitely both of those two.
So you're taking Barkley.
Dylan, though.
I'm taking Barkley over everybody.
I kind of like
what
Jacobs.
About you, Mike?
It's interesting. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't definitely either of those two over Dylan, maybe, but either would definitely be a good upgrade.
Yeah.
Like you say, worry about injury a little. Barkley, maybe.
I don't see Buffalo going after either one of those because those are both premier running backs. Those are.
I think there's been a lot of hype around him, but he's done really good He's done well this season. I don't know if they're relying more on him or not, but.
Who, Barkley?
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of the Giants game, but from what Yeah, from what I've heard and seen,
Mostly just
they
follow
rely
those
on him
games.
a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could lead to
Yeah,
good numbers. Maybe
those are
he could be
believed to me.
overrated a little bit. I don't know. But I like Jacobs. I think he's pretty solid, honestly.
Yeah. And
who really knows until we see it? If we see it.
Yeah.
What about someone like a Bengals Samaje Perine? Isn't he going to be? I'm pretty sure he's going to be a free agent this year as well.
I didn't see that name on the list, but this may not be probably not an all-inclusive list I pulled up, but
not one I'm too familiar with.
Oh yeah, no, here we go. So more Devin Singletary, obviously, Raheem Mostert, Alexander Madison, Rashad Penny, Darrell Henderson, D'Ernest Johnson, and Kenyon Drake.
Madison, that's somebody who I think who's gonna get paid a pretty penny this year, because he's always ran very well when in place of Cook when he's been injured. I think Madison's gonna earn himself a pretty penny.
Yeah, I think somebody will give him a chance. Because we have James Cook, I don't see the team spending up for somebody like a Barkley or even a Jacobs. I could see it for an A.J. Dillon, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't think A.J. Dillon is necessarily an every down back. So he's not going to command quite the same price tag. So that would be kind of cool. We spent a lot of time on this subject, which is definitely going to be an off-season conversation. I'm looking forward to this off-season. And here's kind of to move into the next thing I wanted to talk about. I'm sure you guys heard today, Derek Carr getting benched for the remainder of the season.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McDaniels is an idiot. I do not like the Raiders head coach. He ruined the Broncos back in the day when he did not handle the whole Jay Cutler situation well at all. He messed that all up, and now here he is doing it again. Josh Jacobs, I can almost guarantee, is leaving that team.
And he didn't want no one else to ruin
Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
he didn't want no one else to ruin the Broncos without being noticed.
Yeah. So the situation with Carr, here's what it kind of plays out. In his contract, he's guaranteed $4 million if he gets injured. So everybody's saying, well, that's why they're benching him, because they don't want him to get injured. They don't want to have to pay him that money, which tells me, if that's the case, they are moving on from him 100%. Now, the other end of that is if he's still on the roster as of February 10th, that $40 million is still guaranteed and they have to pay him. You can't trade him before the season's over. Super Bowl is after February 10th. So to me, it looks like he's just going to get straight up cut. They're going to save themselves all that $40 million. So heading into the offseason, we'll have Derek Carr on the market. We're going to have Jimmy G on the market. There's going to be all sorts of talk about Aaron Rodgers and the possibility of him moving on. We don't know what's going on with Tom Brady. It sounds like he wants to keep playing. Is that going to be with Tampa Bay or another team?
Ugh.
So already you've got four quarterbacks, just like we did last offseason with Wilson and all these other guys moving on. I made a joke about Aaron Rodgers since he plays for the Packers going to the Jets. He's going to play for them for a year, and then he's going to go to the Vikings after Kirk Cousins leaves.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool if he did that. That would make me so happy.
Oh, my God.
That would be funny. But I think there's going to be a lot of movement. For Carr, though, I got to ask you guys, where do you see him as a best fit? And do you think a team can win with him?
Oh, they can definitely win with him. He is who should go to the Jets. I think he should either go there or Miami. I think he'd be much better. I mean, imagine Tyreek with like somebody with like Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I as good as Tua. I mean, if they've made Tua look this good, imagine how good they can make Derek Carr be. Somebody who's actually a half competent quarterback.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But can you see them letting go Tua starting?
I was going to say I don't think that's going to be the case, assuming Tua returns, which is another conversation.
That's a scary conversation.
Yeah, this is 3. I even heard some people say he's had 4 concussions this year. I don't think that's the case, but
it's only been the 3.
We know of 3. The one that was documented against Buffalo, then the following week, and then here again. So we know that there's at least 3. At that point, you have to start considering your your livelihood, your future as a person.
Your own
and
wellness.
not-
Yeah.
yeah. So that's going to be another interesting thing. And along those same discussions, we have to wonder about Mitch Morris. This is his, I think they said 7th.
That was the
6th or 7th.
first thing I thought of when I saw. I was like, God damn! I was like, I wonder if he's done. I wonder if he's just going to call it quits. Like, and I wouldn't blame him. He's like the only person who I would understand, because he's like, hey, I've had 6 concussions in my career. Like, I have a family. I'm done.
Race car drivers have walked away. You know?
Yeah.
One accident does it.
I do think
you can't just have it. The doctors will tell you don't want to have another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think what would happen is I don't think Mitch Morris would walk away now. This close to the end of the season, I do think he is going to come back and play. It would not surprise me, though, if after the season is done, he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a heads up now that I'm going
start
to
planning.
retire. Yeah, start planning. Unlike, what was it, 4 or 5? I think, Allen, I believe his rookie year when we had Incognito and Wood, Eric Wood, and they both retired within weeks of the start of the season and just completely put the offensive line in disarray for the whole season and really messed things up. And no fault of their own, totally understandable, at least with Wood, as we know we had the neck injury. And they basically told him, you can play, but if this happens again, you might be paralyzed. So absolutely you're going to walk away. But I think that's very possible with Morris as he finishes this season and then hangs up, especially if we go on and win the Super Bowl.
Oh, if we win the Super Bowl, like Ed Oliver better bring out his horse so he can ride off on it. Like,
there you go.
I mean,
there's I love it.
Yeah, like there's no, like, what else would he need to do? He got a Pro Bowler in his last year and a Super Bowl. Like, hell, Josh, give him the freaking MVP at this point.
Yeah. But getting back to the Tua situation as well, I don't know that there's necessarily concussion history prior to this year. I didn't look up the history on that or anything. I do know he's had a lot of injuries outside of that. So
in a short period, though. Well, recently this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 3 concussions, and so we played in week 13, which is his first one, and it's now week 17.
Week 3.
So in 14 weeks, he's had 3 concussions.
Yeah, week 3
to week 16. Week 17, excuse me. Well, so no, it would be week 16. So in 13 weeks, he had 3 concussions.
3 months, a little over 3 months.
Yeah,
which is scary.
Yeah, I mean that's 1 a month. Imagine getting 1 concussion every month. Like how messed up we would be just trying to do our day jobs. Let alone here's Von Miller coming off the edge trying to kill you literally, and then Matt Milano who does kill you literally. He gives you another one.
Matt Milano just breaks ribs. He doesn't kill people.
True. He attempts. It's attempted murder.
That's really scary.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be there.
No, definitely not. What do you guys think about the fact that he continued to play in that game?
I think
they did show the play where they think it may have happened, but because there was nothing like noticeable, I guess, or anything. Even though there are some people that have played the game, they're like, if you are one of his teammates and you're in that huddle, you can tell. You can
hear him talking.
Yeah, there's just something right. And the fact that nobody said something, the fact that the play that it probably occurred on was very similar to the play when that happened in Buffalo when he, Milano pushed him to the ground, he bounced his head. Yeah, it was an almost identical play, and nobody said, you know what? Let's check. Let's just take a moment.
Let's just be safe. Yep.
Even Knox did Knox get checked out last game?
Knox got checked out, and and I thought he just got the wind knocked out of him. Right. So if you're getting the wind knocked out of you and they're checking you, that means something.
How do you? I don't know. Like the announcers see it. Well, just watching the way they hit the ground,
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at it.
Then Coach McDaniels comes out, I think yesterday, and says, "We're at the point where Tua has to consider his future, and going forward, we're this and that." And I'm just like, now you got to worry about it. Like you should have worried about this weeks ago,
before it even happened.
It's kind of baffling that the team just. I don't know.
Yeah.
All shady shit happens in Florida. Just remember
Well,
that, Ron.
It's
Florida
hard
man.
for me it's hard for me to believe that people at an organization would just be completely oblivious and ignore this kind of stuff.
Well, that's the
Like,
thing. It seems like ignorance to me. At this point, it seems like complete ignorance.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
see
so
him
it's
winning
gonna
the
be
Super Bowl,
interesting.
so it can't be that worth it.
Exactly. They'll be lucky to make the playoffs at this
I was just
point.
like, why are you?
Well,
like, are you
Bridgewater's
afraid?
starting this weekend too.
So they'll be really lucky to make the playoffs at this point. That division championship in week 3 really isn't holding very well to Dolphins fans.
No, it's not. And I'm not going to try to sit here and bash on the Dolphins fans too much. It's unfortunate for sure, though.
Too much. They're on the network right now.
Too much.
Come on, Ron.
No. It's unfortunate for Tua. Like he's a good guy, and you just hate to see this kind of thing happening. I do hope the best for him, of course. I do not hope the best for the Dolphins as a whole, as an organization. But
I hope they lose every
as
football
a human
game.
Being, I hope they take care of him and he does the right thing.
Yeah, seriously.
Whatever the right thing may be.
Seeing him in person, I will admit, like, it gave me a lot of appreciation for Tua. Like, he's good. Like he's when he's on, he's on. I mean, he's an accurate he's an accurate thrower. I mean, those play actions that they have where he has to turn around behind the ball and completely hide the ball from the line of the defense. It was hard to watch. I'm usually pretty good at being able to follow the football as to really where it's going but I was like, some of these times I couldn't tell who had the football, and I was behind the play in the end zone watching it live, and I was like, I can't tell if it's Mostert or Tua, and all of a sudden Tua would turn around and whip it.
Yeah. Well, the biggest knock that I've heard on Tua, from the national experts, if you want to call them as such, is he's a timing quarterback. He's very limited in what he can do. He's not going to sling the ball around the way Josh Allen does. And if the timing is thrown off, he completely loses what's going on.
He's going to take his steps and make his pass.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this offseason with him and the Dolphins. The Jets, that is another mess in their quarterback room. I don't know if Mike White is the answer going forward.
It's like a toss-up now.
He's the best quarterback on that team. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. I think he's probably the best quarterback on the team currently, but is he the best for their long term?
I think but out of those three, he's got to be the best.
Just ride it out.
Well, of those three, but what do they do this offseason? Do they bring in a Carr or a Garoppolo?
Oh, they're gonna try to bring in somebody. I think Zach Wilson's kind of gonna break. Oh God, what's the general manager's name? I can't think of it. Anyway, the Jets general manager. Yeah, I think Zach Wilson is like, all right, like this is it. I'm done drafting these shitty rookie quarterbacks. Like that's all the Jets and the Bills and Miami has done for the last 30 freaking years. Well, the Patriots just sat here pat with one quarterback, and Douglas is looking at like, I'm not going through this again. We have the Bills had Josh Allen instead of the Patriots having Tom Brady. I think he's going to go out and try to buy a quarterback just like he did with Brett Favre, or just like the Jets did with Brett Favre.
That worked so well with the Colts.
Yeah, well, exactly. But would you say the Colts are better? Would you say the Jets are better than the Colts? I mean, the Jets team as a whole.
The Broncos.
No,
it's another example. Like bringing in these retread quarterbacks isn't always the answer. Sometimes you just need to start over and keep trying. I don't know if on paper the Colts should be better than their record. Like I don't quite understand what happened the last 2 or 3 years. They've been a playoff team. They've been a team that has given Buffalo fits because of their run game and their defense is actually pretty good. But this year, I don't know what happened.
It's like I think firing Frank Reich was a mistake for one.
Oh, I do too.
You don't fire a coach after all the success he's had after the start of a bad season. After
maybe
5, 6.
The organization would actually go find him a quarterback that he can work with instead of keep bringing in these, old has-beens.
I mean, and he's brought them, and he's brought those has-beens to the freaking playoffs.
Yeah.
So just like you're saying, get him a car. Somebody get him a car. But just something. Get him some weapons. Michael Pittman's not a number one. Zach Pascal's not a number two. They even let T.Y. Hilton
could be a number one, though. I do. I think he could be if he has the right quarterback.
Who's better, Pittman or Gabe Davis?
Pittman.
I like Davis.
See, I don't know who's better. I think Gabe Davis could be doing exactly what Michael Pittman's doing.
If you'd asked me that question this offseason, I would have said Davis. But I do think Pittman he's a better I meant to bring this up when we were talking about the Bears. Will Davis, that play in the end zone where Josh threw the ball in the back of the defender's, like literally into his back, and Gabe just kind of stood there. If you
talk about trying to go through the defender, I'm going to reach through this camera and smack you in the head.
Oh, I guess you got to smack me because there was no effort from Davis on that play, none. And you know as well as I do, if he at least tries to go get that ball, they're going to throw a flag because they always throw a flag.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
You're talking about the touchdown he just had in the corner?
No.
Oh, the last
Allen
the tight one. Yes, going out of bounds.
He threw the ball into the end zone to Davis, who was covered by somebody, but the defensive back was not looking at Allen at all. He was completely face guarding. Allen hit him in the back with the ball, basically. He never turned around. That is a flag every single time if the receiver is at least trying to get the ball, and Davis completely gave up on that.
I don't think Davis even thought the ball was going to get there.
I see what you mean.
Why would he think that?
I didn't think the ball was going to get there.
Like if Josh Allen's in the end zone and I'm in the other end zone, I'm expecting the ball to come to me still.
Does he have a running start or not? That's what I got to know. Because if he does, then yes, I'm expecting it to get to me.
A step or two.
But no, that was a little disappointing for me to see Davis. I still love him, and I still think he's going to be okay. I do think he's having a little bit of a down year. I think the ankle injury at the beginning of the season kind of slowed things down for him. I would not be shocked to see him kind of rise up down the stretch here. Like this team seems to really get up for primetime games in the playoffs. Yeah. They really do. And I think this defense is it's probably the best defense we've had so far, even with Hyde and Miller on the sidelines. So I'm excited to see what this team brings down the stretch. Like I said, with these primetime games, because Allen, he's just a primetime player.
Speaking of primetime, should we talk about it? Should we get into it?
Yeah, we probably should. We should.
The kitty cats. Casey. The kitty cats.
Let's get into it.
The cute tiger kittens.
The Bungles.
And I'm not talking crap. I've been a big believer in the Bengals all year. Even through that slow start.
I like the Bengals.
They
helped
Bengals
us over the years. So
they did help us. We will always remain friends with the Bengals after what they did for us. Especially
okay. Hold on.
What?
You bringing this up? You brought okay. So somebody posted on Twitter earlier today. In fact, it's like a half hour before the show, and said, "You're not a true Bills fan if you are hating on the Bengals." And my response was this, very simply: if that's the case, then I have to like every team that beat the Ravens that year. I have to like every team that has ever won a game that has in some way, shape, form, or fashion benefited the Bills, which includes the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins at some point in history.
Okay, Mr. Cynical, get over it.
It wears off. It wears off. They were very relevant.
Stop being get off my lawn. You can be friends.
I can be friends with the fan. I'm not rooting for the Bengals to be good or win or anything like that.
I'm not rooting for them to be good, but it's a general respect.
And that's
you gotta have the general respect. That's what I'm talking about. I will always have
a good football team, but not because they beat the Ravens 5 years ago to help get.
You mean to put us into the playoffs? I will.
No,
Mr. Ungrateful.
So
ungrateful.
So you respect
ungrateful.
You respect all the other teams that beat the Ravens that year?
Yep.
Which I'm going to pull up the schedule because I want to know. I bet you the Dolphins might have beat them that year. You going to be a Dolphins fan because they beat the Ravens in 2017 or 18?
Because they didn't get to the playoffs either, so screw them.
Jeez.
Moving on. Keys to the game. What you got, Mike?
Keys of the game. Well, I think we're going to have to protect our guy, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's pretty important. And I
He's
don't
up
know,
there.
have him make some plays.
He's pretty
That's key.
important.
When the ball's snapped, you got to stop them guys. I don't know the Bengals. Their defense looks pretty
Okay.
serious. I mean,
Here's
they're up there in the playoff standings now, and right behind the Chiefs, I think now. So they're right there.
Yeah,
They're a good ball team. We know they can play.
you're in the third seed.
They've been getting better over the past few years. Definitely got to look out for them. But yeah, I'd say the O-line gonna have to protect our guy, get him some space. Make things happen. He's the guy to make it happen. They got to help him out. But are we going to go scores? Are we going to go around first?
Yeah, give us your
we'll get to
I'm
the
not,
scores
I'm not
in-
sure about score yet.
Well, hold
I
on
got
on
to
the
think about it
scores.
a little bit more.
I want to hear the keys to the game, and I'm just going to throw this out here, Mike. So, week 18 we play the Patriots. Go ahead and start thinking about keys. Okay, so the next time we ask you the question, you're prepared for that.
All right.
Got to give you crap, Casey. What do you think about this game?
I mean, they got a dynamic duo at the wide receiver. Oh, really? Trio at wide receiver. I mean, Tyler Boyd is not a wide receiver to tip your nose to. I mean, they have T. Higgins, obviously Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow out there. Joe Mixon's kind of been quiet. I know he had that 1 5-touchdown game this year. And I mean, if you look at it fantasy wise, he had literally 30% of his production in that one football game. Other than that, he has a lot of volume, but he hasn't had much actual production, real true good production. Samaje Perine actually had better production in his small stint when Mixon was out. It's really just about limiting. You're never going to be able to take away T. Higgins and Jamar Chase entirely, but can you shut down Tyler Boyd and one of those two other receivers? Funnel everything to one person, one play. If you're going to let somebody beat you, all right, you can have all that, but nobody else is going to beat us. I really think it's going to be just funneling and going with the blows and fighting through it, kind of what we do, the bend don't break defense. All right, they're going to get this, we give up some yards, but when we get into that red zone, all right, now it's time to lock in, lock down.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
the defense. Buffalo's defense is actually, I think, 7th currently. So even the yards, they don't give up a lot of the yards. I don't remember where they are points wise. They're still top 5 as far as points allowed. So the Dolphins game, if you go back, Trey White was on Waddle most of that game, and then they would double up on Hill. That's kind of what I expect to see this time around, is Trey White maybe not shadowing the whole game, but traveling with Higgins a lot, and then using kind of an over/under coverage type of thing, the bracket coverage on Chase, and then let the front four just get after Burrow, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, he's not a scrambler. Yeah, he can move around in the pocket and buy himself some time in the way, but I think if we can get in there and disrupt his timing and make him move around a little bit, I think that's going to go a long, long ways in this game. So for me, it's going to be the defensive pressure is kind of the key for me. I totally on board with what Mike said as far as protecting Allen. I do think that it's going to be important, but I have a feeling that they're going to run the ball in this game.
All right.
Me too.
The weather should be fine. I don't think that's going to necessarily be an issue. So it wouldn't shock me necessarily if they let Allen rip it 40 times again. But with the emergence of the running game as of late, and the emergence of Cook especially, I think they
Keep it going.
If anything, at least 50-50, more so than we've seen in the past.
Sorry, guys, yelling at the dog.
All I see is this, and like, no
I think
sound.
you guys would rather not hear it. Trust me.
But yeah. So I guess the key would be in the trenches, dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
What do you see Cooks or James Cook doing in this game? Do you guys see more of the same? Is he going to get his first 100-yard game?
Nope.
I think they keep it balanced. They keep sharing snaps. keep spreading it around. I mean, not relying on one guy and kind of flip flopping and keeping them fresh and fresh and hungry, and so they're just always ready to get after it. I think it's like I don't know. I just sense it's kind of what's going on right now. I do like the idea of them running more of this game. We'll see. Well, I think we'll take what they can give us.
I think that
hopefully stick with what's working.
I think we're going to just keep seeing the same splits that we have been lately. I just think that Dorsey's going to make not easier reads, but I think he's going to try to scheme more routes open than just trying to make Josh Allen go off script. Let him sit, drop back, and just stay off the back heel and just let one rip. I think they're going to really try to work in the play action game. I think that's really what they've been setting up for with all this running, is preparing for today for the game. Excuse me.
This week.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I'm looking at the numbers here. So Cincinnati's defense, they're ranked 13th in the league, which isn't terrible, but kind of middle of the road.
They've got playmakers.
Their run defense is only giving up 106 yards a game, which isn't bad. But their pass defense, 225 game, which is half of the league. So I do like what you were just saying, Casey, as far as kind of using some play action, especially early, like in this game, to kind of get maybe the Bengals defense backpedaling a little bit and use that play action early. I like Cook. Man, he is coming on so much as of late, and I just kind of get the feeling that this offense is about to just go off. I really do. I think Cook is finally giving us that dimension that we expected at the beginning of the season, which is probably unfair to him being a rookie to expect that right off the bat. I would like to see him more in the passing game. And there's something to me that just feels like the Bills are kind of holding back right now. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just have this feeling they're about to explode.
I've been telling you, I don't think that Dorsey's dipped into his playbook this year. I really don't. I really think that he's like, all right, let's just get through it. Dip into it when I need to, when I really need to. We need a win. All right, I'll get into it. I think he's saving everything for the playoffs.
And if you think go back to 2020, we were heading into the playoffs. Diggs was banged up. I can't remember the exact injury. It might have been a rib or something. Yep. And then Beasley
had a broken freaking thigh.
Yeah. And we heard last season, we started to see Diggs' snap count kind of come down a little bit. And Allen even made the point or comment that, it was a load management situation because the way that the receiving core went into 2020 playoffs beat up, they were trying to alleviate some of that last season. And I think that's what's happening now.
Me too. I thought Diggs was off the field a little bit more often than normal this past game. But I mean, not saying we didn't need him, but he wasn't the integral part of the offense that he normally is last game. So all right, so let James cook,
Yeah.
I'm good at this, Ronnie, trust me.
Yeah, this should be a fun game. It's going to be a huge game. Win or lose, please, Bills Mafia, take it with a grain of salt. It's a game. The world is not going to end. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to be fine.
We get one home game. We know we get a home game, so just chill.
Yeah.
It'll be tough. Might be tough and exciting. I'm up for a good game. I
expect to see some of the tweets like, "Oh, here we go again. Bills suck." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like
Some people just like to complain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's keep that stuff to yourself.
All right, Papa Ron, hit me.
You want me to go score first?
Papa Ron first.
Oh, that's so sweet. I haven't gone first in forever because you guys complain about it.
Age before beauty.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
Jeez.
All right.
Somewhere in the middle.
This one is kind of tough. I think the weather I don't think is going to be an issue this time around. The Bengals defense, they have some strengths, some weaknesses. I think the secondary is subpar, maybe average at best. They can get after you, though. On the other side of the ball, I can't remember the offensive lineman's name for the Bengals, but he's out. I believe they lost him for the season.
Lyle Collins.
Collins, yeah. I think that's going to be huge. I do. And, man, every time I pick a blowout, it doesn't end up that way. And Buffalo has been winning some one-score games. Hello. Whoever thought they could win one-score games at the beginning of the year, right?
I know. Only when they need to.
Yeah. Man, this is a tough one. I'm going to go 31-27.
Bills?
Well, yeah. I'm not Mike. I don't pick against my team.
Mike?
My turn.
Well, 10 years ago I would have, but
this is a tough one for sure. I've been known to pick against the Bills before. I'm not going to do that this week. I do want to see him put up some points, and I'm going to say 38-31 Bills.
a lot of love for the offense, not so much for the defense.
No, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to sign
I mean,
off
they
real
look
quick
like a good
after.
offense.
I'm going to
Sure.
sign off real quick after saying this. 34-31 Bengals. See ya. Go Bills.
Go Bills!
See
Oh
ya.
my gosh. All right. We are out
I
of
guess
here.
I'll catch you later on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's running. He's running. I mean, I get it. I understand. Bengals are a good football team. It's going to be a good game. But we'll Bills Mafia, we will see you guys next week. Go Bills.
All right. Take care, man. Oh.